Alright everyone, we start off today with a literary update, Psychedelic Spirituality. The second edition is now available, link in the description as always, along with the books blogs there, where you can find other works. I've written Spirits of the Garden is also on sort of psychotropic species. This work is one part philosophy, one part sort of political banter, which is, you know, I think what people know me best for. It does have the spiritual component, but I wanted to get a little bit more political, actually, in this work. And the first edition has gotten really good reviews. Like, everyone seems to generally like it. But there were a couple of problems with the first edition. The first is it was made in 2015. So any reference to the Trump admin's treatment of especially marijuana, it's not there. So I had to make a few additions. A few things were wrong. There were a few spelling errors, although I think it was like 3 in the whole text, so it wasn't that bad. And then some corrections have been made with regards to drug policy, because in the last 3 years it's changed drastically. The Trump admin is way more pro-pot than the Obama admin, and less on board, I think, all things considered, less on board in some ways with the drug war. So obviously some contemporary material had to be added there. For instance, Obama is called the first gay president for not supporting DOMA, while then Trump, I guess, for not wanting to go whole hog after reefer madness stuff. I guess he's the first pot president, even though he's apparently stone cold sober, barely even drinks caffeine in his fucking Coca-Cola or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a good work. I had fun writing it. Again, it's like After the Ashes. It's one of these works that I made a few years ago that they're interesting enough to me because of my own writings there, so I can actually sort of get engrossed while I'm editing it. So a few corrections have been made. I believe it's a few pages longer because I increased the margins. I think at least one person said that during printing the original text, because the page number was high enough, the center of the work, the interior margins, actually cut off some of the text. That could be a problem, so I increased that by like 1/10 of an inch, and I figured, you know, that's better, works better. The format is fairly nice. Of course, that necessitated resizing the images. It does have some photography from my own collection of some botanical species, not all of which are psychotropic. For instance, you got doll's eyes. Doll's eyes looks like the stereotypical, like, witchy plant, but it's, you know, technically you'd be hallucinating, but then you would die, so you wouldn't want to take it. Or lookalikes in some cases. Got a nice picture of burdock in there. Of course, I've had burdock soup, and it's fantastic. Not psychotropic, but it is, you know, calming. It's used in tea and sort of medicinal. Medicinal material, I make the argument that psychotropics and straight up just medicine that affects any other part of the body but the brain, really they're intertwined, they're interchangeable, and there's not a whole lot of difference. It's basically the behavioral and visual impact more than anything else. That drives drug policy because it's something tangible. The difference, you might be able to feel the difference, but if you're taking liver pills, you can't see the difference. You can't say, well, I know that it's affecting me because I'm seeing elves walking across the room. Whereas you can with an LSD, a psilocybin, mescaline, morning glory, something like that. Its impact is measurably tangible. I make all sorts of comments about ancient aliens in this work, too. By the way, you know, again, disclaimer, you're responsible for your own actions. I'm not saying that these substances are legal or safe to use or condoning or encouraging it. And of course, there's a lengthy disclaimer in the book because you have to for legal reasons. It's like, it's totally ridiculous that you have to. It should just be this. The disclaimer should be have common sense. That's what you should have to put in a book. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm sure I'm encouraging you to use crack cocaine. No, of course not. But I had fun writing it. I had fun re-editing it as well, and again, a substantial number of changes have been made, especially on the political end, which is sort of what it's geared towards in drug policy in the US in the last 3 years. You've got changes happening now in the UK, like medical marijuana I think is still not a thing there, but then you've got people protesting by, you know, trying to bring cannabis-based seizure medication over. It gets confiscated, and that one woman's done it several times. Hopefully they amend their laws, because it's totally ridiculous if something can help you medically that it should be illegal simply because it makes the colors go, man. It's totally ridiculous. But drug policy needs to be criticized. It needs to be criticized by people who have actually used these substances. Sometimes I get the feeling some people, they're straight-laced, they're like Nick Fuentes or something, and they're like, well, yeah, but I'm not completely on board with, you know, throwing people in jail for having a joint or something. And it's like it kind of falls flat because it's like, you know, you probably haven't used it, even if Trump does, because he says he never used anything, he never even saw pot, never drank the champagne at a party, and it's very funny. I'm not sure if I completely believe that, but you know, more or less. So yeah, link in the description again to this work, several other links to my books, blogs, both Blogspot and WordPress. I have, they're basically clones of one another. An interesting work, I think, and I think that a lot of people have really enjoyed it. So if you liked the first edition, the second is a little different. Again, there are some errors taken out, there are some changes made because of differences in policy, and a little bit in difference in my own philosophy, really, politically speaking. And then, of course, the formatting change. That's about all. Peace out.